Welcome to another edition of the Sales and Marketing Power Hour with your host, Carol Morgan with Denim Marketing and Kimberly Mackey with New Home Solutions Consulting.
If you're here for our crossover event part 2, hopefully you didn't miss the digital marketing podcast, because Greg and Kevin already got part 1 out. But if you did miss it, that's all right. Go back and listen to it. And as is our tradition here, I did get a quote and add it to our slide. And this time we're going to quote Steve Jobs, because I thought this is really the crux of what we're talking about. Great things in business are never done by one person. They're done by a team of people. So
There's a thought.
Some of us like to do everything ourselves, but no,
I
even
don't
for
know
those of us who
anybody
have a
like that.
problem like that, there is a point at which we cry uncle. And of course, Carol and I would like to invite you to come hang out with us in the Sales Marketing Power Hour on Facebook. So this is a very lively group. People post, ask questions. Carol posted a thing about how old you are if you've done these things, and
we're
that
all
really
apparently really old.
That really fired everybody up. So it's so funny, the stuff that people start talking about. You post something serious you think is going to get people going, and the crickets. And then the next thing is somebody posts some crazy antic that happened somewhere. So
I just took
Kevin,
a book from Kevin's playbook, so
yeah. We need Kevin to post some crazy architecture things, and that usually gets people fired up. But if you are not yet a member, please join us, and this is how you find it. And Carol, I'm going to let you kick it off and go ahead and tell us about you and Denim Marketing and all the exciting stuff going on there.
Well, I am still Carol Morgan with Denim Marketing. I'm president and founder. We are 25 years old this year, and we specialize in all things content. So if you need help with social media, public relations, blogging, email marketing, awards, strategies, promotions, campaigns, give me a shout. We'd love to talk to you. And I'll turn it back over to Kimberly, who's going to keep the train on the track.
I may need you for something, so I'm getting ready to put some stuff in. So we need to talk after this. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Kimberly Mackey. My company is New Home Solutions Consulting. And as Carol said, I like to say that my company is who you call when you want sales to be the engine that drives the train rather than running it off the tracks. So while I do training, I'm known for the consulting, immersion consulting, making sure the parts, the pieces, and systems all work together so that you can have consistent, persistent, and profitable sales. So if I can help you with that, and right now a lot of people are seeking me out because traffic dried up for a lot of people. It's getting a little quiet out there, and people are going, "Whoa, what do we need to do?" So if and that's a big part of what we're going to be talking about today. We have 2 gentlemen who can help with that as well. But give me a shout, and even if it's just to ask questions and go, "What the heck?" I'm happy to meet with you. You can always just jump on my calendar. Kevin, I'm going to turn things over to you to talk about Outhouse.
I'm Kevin Weitzel. I'm a partner over at Outhouse, and we do all the digital assets that you can put on your website. Interactive floor plans, interactive site plans, renderings, virtual tours, augmented reality. And then, of course, we also have our drafting contingency too. So that's us at Outhouse.
Augmented reality. I suffer from that sometimes.
Is that contagious?
It could be. And those rose-colored glasses, Yeah. Greg, take it away.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Greg Bray with Blue Tangerine. We help builders create sales-generating websites and do that by helping you with the website design, development, and hosting piece, and then also driving the traffic with all the various digital tactics and tools that are out there, like search engine optimization, Google Ads, advertising on social media, getting into some email formatting, programmatic like geofencing, and then tying it all together with the reports and analytics you need to understand what's working, what's not, and how to best use your budget. So love to help builders sell more and do it through their websites.
Fantastic. All right, I'm going to stop the share so we can go back to our Brady Bunch view. And Carol, I think it's only fair, and turnabout's fair play.
Uh-oh.
Since Kevin always asks everybody for something personal that no one really
Oh,
knows, I think we should all ask Kevin to
great
share
idea.
something. Yeah, let's kick it off,
Ooh.
Kevin.
All right, Kevin, let's hear it.
I've got a bad habit of sharing way too much usually.
Uh-oh.
Keep it clean.
I'm gonna keep it clean. One thing a lot of people don't know about me is that even though I am very gravity challenged in my later years, in my earlier years, I was a former professional cyclist. From 84 to 89, I raced professionally, and I was an Olympic alternate in 88.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
What-
so
what?
I could haul butt on a bicycle. Even now, I can still get to very fast velocities. I just can't hold it for much more than a couple hundred yards, But yeah,
I think anytime anyone says "but," I should hold donkey up.
we should. You know what? I could do the same. Bam.
That's a new game we're playing. Nobody told me. I needed to bring mine up here.
Yeah, so that's my tidbit.
That's a good
Well,
one.
Greg, we don't want to leave you out. Would you like to share something as well? Because you usually have to endure these on the digital marketing podcast.
Hey, no, it's great to understand people. We all do business with people, right? And getting
Right.
to know each other is part of that. I'm sure there's some people that know this about me, but I think one of my things that is a little different, unique, is I do have 6 children, and so that's something that most folks don't necessarily know right away, and it's where all the joy and happiness comes from, and why I have to work so much.
You'll be
so
working a
it's-
long time.
Yeah, but
So
love
for
the big
that, I say
family.
bless your heart.
Yes.
And not in that Southern way, though, right?
No, legitimately, bless your heart.
It's her heart that needs to be blessed. She does all the heavy lifting. So
It's great to have a partner that helps to get things done. It does take a village. So I have 2 only children, so there's no way that I could have handled 6 children. So are you trying to figure that out? How do I have 2 only children?
Did you just go full circle into your quote of Steve Jobs that it takes a team or it takes a village?
Oh.
What?
I don't think she meant to, but she did.
I did, but
really
hey,
did.
look at that. See, subliminally, it was planted this
It
morning.
was there.
That's hilarious.
All right, maybe we should actually get down to business here, Carol. You want to kick us off and get this party started on our
yeah.
topic?
Let's kick off on our topic, which is sales or marketing. Whose job is it? I don't know if anyone was following along, but on LinkedIn, I said it was all Greg's job. So everything is Greg's responsibility now. But that being said, pre-show, we were talking a little bit about when you open a community and you kick off a community, who should do what to get that community off the ground and ready? Greg, you want to start off with this one?
well, somebody's got to buy some dirt and decide what they're going to build. I mean,
There's
there's that, right? So there's
And hopefully they pro forma it.
yeah, and I think there's a lot that goes into the marketing side in that early piece. Is there as far as who do we want to sell to, why, what product fits for that type of buyer, all of those kinds of things. What's the price point we're trying to hit? Is that a sales question, or is that a marketing question, or is that somebody else off in the ivory tower figuring all of that out? Because lots of times marketing comes in and says, it's told, here's the product, here's the price, here's whatever,
Yep.
figure out what to do with it, right? And
True.
the salespeople are said, hey, by the way, show up at this place and start selling to people who walk in. Good luck with that, right? So it's kind of, there
Sadly
needs to
true.
be some planning well beyond just we're going to open in 3 months or tomorrow or whatever it might be with all of that. So I think there's room for everybody, but marketing at the end of the day is about the messaging, the branding, all of how that comes together in who we're reaching, who is that ideal customer, how do we talk to them, how do we connect with them? And of course, they're all searching online to start. So we need to start with that online presence to put the word out.
Right. And then if it's a pre-sale event or a VIP list, and the website, is going to come first, and maybe a sign on site that says coming soon or whatever that is. But yeah, I think the marketing comes first with, some input obviously from sales, but you've got to do all that marketing up front before you can, get on site and start selling and, start moving homes, especially in this market. We're seeing people do pre-sale. I say pre-sale, it's not really pre-sale, VIP list, 6 to 8 months before they're even going to start bringing houses out of the ground, just because they're in a hot area and they want to form that VIP list and maybe keep somebody from buying from the competition, keep them on their list.
I would
Yeah,
add to that. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Greg.
I would just say sometimes as marketers, we get a little concerned that we're saying it too often, too much, everything else. And we forget that most of what we say disappears into the wind and nobody actually remembers it, or at least consciously remembers it. And it's okay to say it over and over and over again. It's never too early to get the word out that something's coming, as long as you can keep the promises. Don't say grand opening spring of 2024 and then you don't actually open until December, right? That's bad. That's bad. But getting the word out as early as you can is only going to help, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you make a good point on not making promises you can't deliver on if you're going to go to that VIP list and go ahead and put a splash page up on your website. Be super careful. And I think most builders have probably erred on the side lately of not releasing pricing just because things fluctuate so much. A lot of times we have customers who are a little frustrated because they don't even know what the range is. So I think that's something we could do a little bit better as an industry, but I do understand you certainly don't want to say their homes from the threes. If you turn around and the best you can do once you get them built, it's going to be 450. So got to watch that too, because that becomes Kimberly's sales problem.
Yeah, then that's you might as well just wipe that entire VIP list off the face of the earth. So, but marketing typically for the larger builders that I've worked for, and then the smaller builders, this is one of the things that we work on, is creating these checklists for a pre-community checklist, so that we make sure we're addressing everything all the way through. But you get all the way into a community and you don't have signage up, your model is open, and we're still ordering signs. We have no way of driving people to it. Our website isn't current. This should happen. So far in advance that this community is coming. It's not like these things fall out of the sky.
When Wishes land fell out of the sky, right?
Well,
hey,
yes,
look,
I'm sure.
lots.
The land guys wish that, right? Yeah.
I was gonna say that's not usually it's not usually sales, coming before marketing, but I don't know. I sometimes I will say marketing's the last frontier. Sometimes it's, okay, we're in the 13th hour. How come we didn't know this?
But you can't expect your salespeople to perform if the things aren't in place. So you can't really hold your sales team accountable when nobody knows you're there. So, I'm having conversations with a builder this week about putting up a tethered balloon because they're literally prohibited by developers. This is developers, you also need to make sure that your permanent directionals and your signage is in place. If you're talking about these big master plan communities that won't let a builder put up directionals, then the developer, again, clearly have been working on this for years. There's no excuse for not having those directionals up long before those models are open, because people want to drive that and you get people excited about it. So, the tethered balloons, though, at last resort, or if you're in the back of one of these communities, they work. They go like 100 feet in the air and they last for about 48 hours or so. So especially good for a grand opening event, so people can find you. Because even though we have stuff on the website, we also need stuff that people see when they're driving around.
But there's nothing like a guy in an Elvis suit spinning a sign, Kevin, that would really get folks if you can't get any other signage. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That guy in that Elvis suit in Florida or Texas right now would really be that's hazardous duty pay right there.
I think we could run a contest on how many times do you have to change clothes a day in Florida and Georgia right now. So or if you go inside, outside.
Or Phoenix, right, Kevin? Isn't it supposed to be like 116 or something there today?
Yeah, yesterday was 110, so it's
a dry heat. No,
I'll tell you, being a gravity challenged human that I am, I don't tolerate the heat like I used to, and I definitely don't tolerate any humidity. Like I would literally die in Louisiana. But that being said, I don't care if it's dry here or not. Once it cracks 115, it's hot. There's no exception for that. It's hot no matter who you are, whether it's dry heat, humid heat, it's just hot.
Yeah. Once you're up to that level. So I saw
there was two comments in the chat. Yeah. The first one is from Brittany. I would love your perspective on when prices increase, how to help buyers compromise on a smaller home. Kimberly, you want to start with that one?
That's a good question, Brittany. So, I think that it starts with really understanding your buyer's needs
Mhm.
and not just their wants. So we have to help buyers to separate the needs from the wants. And we do this with a very thorough discovery process. But then we also have to show them that possibility. So when you have a good rapport with your buyers and you've spent that time going through that discovery with them, they're more likely to understand that maybe some compromises are going to have to be made. But honestly, most buyers don't know what square footage they want. They have no idea. And yet we ask, how many bedrooms, how many square feet, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, unless you're Alice in Wonderland and you want to go down the rabbit hole, like, why are you asking these questions? Because most buyers truly don't know this information. And it's our job to really get to how they live in the home and really understand their story so that we can help them with what we have. And of course, as on the marketing and the land side, making sure it's price, product, position, right? So you got to have the right price, the right product, and that position there to have an offering that is going to hit who that audience that's coming through there is. If not, then you're way out of alignment, and the marketing job gets a lot harder to start driving traffic that is going to buy the product that's there. So again, that's why we pro forma these things, and we don't just go on, oh, well, my gut says this is going to sell because community X down the street was selling pretty well. It's a little more complicated than that.
Especially if community X is in a different school system.
Yes. Yeah. Whole lot of changes there. And then Nathaniel said he's got a developer that won't release pricing yet, and you already have buyers.
I don't know how to help that one. We need a magic wand for that one, Nathaniel, because that's frustrating.
They're missing the market. Because if people want to buy right now, we should figure out everything we possibly can to sell to them, because the end of the year, it's going to be a little iffy, because it always is. Every 4 years, we go through about 3 months of people going, oh, I'm going to sit and wait and see what happens after the election. It doesn't matter
Right.
who's running, doesn't matter who wins, because the day after the election, they go, oh, well, darn, now I'm going to move on with my life, right? So,
Mhm.
because 50% are always going to be disappointed no matter who wins. It's just the nature of our and the reality of what it is right now. But I would say to that developer, you might want to like plant that little bug in their ear and go, if you want to make hay while the sun is shining, now is the time, rather than waiting, because the buyers are going to dry up as we get August, September, October, and November. So that's my crystal ball. I asked his magic 8 ball, and it
Magic
it
8 ball,
agrees
that's what
with
it
me.
said.
Yes, it
Yeah.
agrees. All right. So, what role do you think that sales should play with content, as far as the website and even the other digital content? So, I think that could really go to any of you, but I'm going to start with Greg on that one.
There is a huge opportunity for, especially for a larger builder that's got a lot going on, for things to get out of date quickly, and to be inconsistent, or to no longer match the story that's being told in the sales center. So the sales team needs to be clearly monitoring and checking what's out there about, at least about the community they're responsible for, right? The area that they're working in, to be sure that it's correct. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be the ones updating it, but if they're having these issues with people walking in expecting one thing and it doesn't match, it could be that these expectations are actually being given to them by the website, and they're being told, oh, pricing is in this range, or this is the kinds of things that are available right now. And it could be slightly out of date or confusing. Even if it's technically accurate, it may be misleading. Again, that comment of homes from the 300s, where there's only one home that's $399 and then everything else is above that, that's a little misleading and confusing for a lot of people. And if salespeople are getting the wrong kinds of buyers walking in for whatever reason, they need to communicate that back and say, hey, this content is not connecting with the right audience for us, and we're not getting the right kind of traffic. Instead of just writing it off, oh, another bad one, we need to close that loop back, because messaging can be changed and improved if we have with feedback.
Well, and that's an interesting point, Greg. We had a situation with a community that we helped rebrand. We didn't do the original branding, but the builder and the marketing team originally just missed the mark. They thought that they were going to have a 55 plus buyer. And it wasn't an age restricted community, but the entire website was, all the lifestyle imagery, everything was 55 plus. And they ended up with anyone but that buying homes. So they had to, and so, obviously they figured this out, and the sales team communicated with the marketing team, and hey, this might be what we thought we were selling. This isn't who we're selling to. So, it was a great opportunity to redirect and, rework all that imagery. But I think that the sales team can have a huge influence on marketing. And of course, some of this is, it depends on the culture of the company, because some companies don't really let sales participate in social media. But I love it if we have, Kevin's like, if we have a sales team that will, minimally take a picture of a happy homeowner with a lot sign or with the big key or with whatever it is. And, sometimes that salesperson is allowed to post them themselves on social, but other times they, send it to the marketing team who handles it. And I think that's just a very small way that sales can help. They can take progress photos. I mean, they're the ones that are on site every day. The marketing team is not. So, to me, it goes hand in hand. If you want really good social media out there, then it's helpful if you've got a salesperson who's willing to help participate in the process. Kevin, do you have anything you want to add? Because I saw you get all excited.
I do. This one's near and dear to my heart, because at Outhouse we have a saying: don't let Kevin touch the crayons, let alone the production computers. I let the salespeople be salespeople and keep them away from production, keep them away from marketing to a certain degree. So I want to point out two things. First off, it also depends on the size of the company. The big D.R. Hortons and the Lennars of the world, they're aircraft carriers. It takes 9 individuals on an aircraft carrier to steer 5 degrees a different direction. 9 people. But all these smaller and mid-sized builders have a lot more flexibility on their marketing and on their sales side to be able to just grab the steering wheel and spin it and go a different direction and do whatever they want, kind of like a PT boat, if you will. So, using all these naval terms, so you can just pop around the water and be reactionary to what the market leads versus just here's what corporate dictates and mandates. So that being said, my best advice to salespeople is to not be reactionary, but proactive. Get involved with the marketing team early on to let them know that, hey, I know that we're going to be selling to, at least I think, my spidey sense as a salesperson, I know we're going to have families move this neighborhood. We have an A+ rated school in this neighborhood that needs to be mentioned. We have proximity to a hospital because kids get bumps and scrapes. If that stuff's not on there and all you do is complain about it after the website's built, after all the graphics are done, then shame on you, because you really should have been in the process ahead of time versus being the complainer afterwards. Don't agitate, be proactive.
100% agree with that, and be proactive. But we can have processes and procedures. So we have pre-start for homes. We should have pre-start launches for communities. We should have a check-in 3 to 6 months too. How are we doing? What kind of feedback are we getting? Let's analyze the data in our CRM. Let's see, where are leads coming from? There's so much value in mining for data in here, and the sales team can be very proactive on that. I find, especially as you get into the larger companies, I do find that there's a bit of poo-pooing what the salespeople say, and they're like, well, that's just what the last person told them. Rather than really diving in and really seeing, do we have a trend here? Because yes, there can be a little bit of that, of whatever the last objection you got is now the objection. But as salespeople, if we're documenting this stuff, yes, I use the D word, document. If you're documenting these things, we now have some trends. We have some things that we can look at, and marketing needs to be receptive to that. So, I find that in a couple of instances, like I find marketing to be very inflexible once they've launched and gone down a path. So, as marketing, we do need to be nimble, and we do need to look at what's happening in the marketplace, what's happening in just the general environment, because the market's always doing something, right? So sometimes what you're doing doesn't work. And salespeople can be the creative part. Like they can, like Carol said, go out, take the pictures, let them be a little less than vanilla. let them have some fun. You know, we talked about on the podcast on part 1 of this, we shouted out to Smart Dwelling. So hey, Nathaniel, we already did a shout out for you, but we're going to do another one. You know, about doing their the name of their floor plan when they launch a new floor plan, like they're named after historic people that none of us have ever heard of. So you get a history lesson, an acting lesson, and a little bit of entertainment all at the same time that you're learning about this new floor plan. So, you know, I mean, just doing something different. You know, you don't have to be so bland and boring. And I think the bigger the company, the more boring and vanilla this stuff is getting, and it just becomes noise. What do you think? What do you guys think?
Oh, definitely size matters. And if I can get on a soapbox about that just for a second. About
Don't go there, Kevin. I see you.
the challenge, the challenge with marketing not listening to what's going on, because they did the branding project, they did the website project, and now it's done.
Done.
Right. It's done.
Never done.
The website is never done. Marketing is never done. If you are stuck in this idea that, oh, well, we will update the website every 2 years, every 3 years, every 10 years, whatever crazy number it is. No, the website needs to have an update budget for every month where you're doing something to make it better. And it doesn't have to be as much as you spent on the first, you know, development project by any means, but there has to be this iterative process, and it will actually extend the life of what you did in your big project if you're continually maintaining it and taking that feedback in and saying, gosh, where can we tweak this? And that feedback isn't just from sales team. It can be from your analytics. Your online sales counselor is a gold mine of what's working well on the website. You know, actually doing some surveys with buyers and all these, there's lots of different places to get this feedback, but don't consider a website done just because the new one with the new design or the new logo or whatever has launched now. Okay, stepping up to soapbox. So.
Well, let me add to that.
I might add to that. When you launch a new website, that's the time to really double down on it not being done and testing it and trying to break it. And
Right.
you know, and then again, you've got to rebuild, because once you launch a new website, you kind of lose what you had before. And you lose that momentum because now all of the, you know, I'm not an expert on all of this, but I know that all of a sudden our search rankings are going to go down when we launch a new website, and it takes a little bit of time to build that up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, not if the right SEO team launches it, because all of that SEO should be redirected, but unfortunately, sometimes it's not.
It usually is not. Yes. So, and then, you know, and Greg, you and Kevin can speak to this a lot more than I can, but the SEM that goes along with it too, that our builders often neglect because they think, oh, well, I put the website up there, that's all I need to do. But, you know, you have to tie all of that and tie all of those tools that you have on there, like your interactive floor plans and all of that, to your search engine marketing, right?
Well, that's absolutely true. So let's look at something as simple as an interactive sitemap. Okay, so you've moved past, you've got the budget to spend, I don't know, a couple $100 to make an interactive sitemap instead of a static map. Then whose job is it to update it and maintain it? Is it the sales team's job, or do they not have access to it because it's only marketing that deals with the website? And do they have a communication pathway to let marketing know that we just sold lot 42?
Right.
I need that shown as sold. And by the way, here's the home that's put on it. You know, there needs to either be the freedom for people to be able to manage that and a responsibility so we can hold their feet to the fire to make sure that is always current, or to at least a pathway. Now, and then the next step above that is sometimes you can even have that automated. If you contract somebody up in your ERP, you can have that push dynamically right to your site plan to where, you know, the robots do it all for you.
So
you know,
cool.
they're doing everything.
Yeah.
Might as well, right?
Ideally.
Ideally, yes.
It's nice when we can automate things. So, and we don't have to hire somebody to their sole job. It's just to update this stuff.
Here's
But still, somebody has to look at it.
I have a loaded question. So is it the job of the marketing team to set sales targets and quotas? Or who should set those?
If there's any salespeople on this call, their heads just went boom right now, because they're like, did you even just ask that question?
I mean, you know, I'm behind a web screen. What y'all gonna do?
So
if you want her address, just message me and I'll give you a
yes.
I do have my guard donkey.
I think I love the fact that that's a loaded question, because there's a loaded answer.
Perfect.
It really depends on the scenario, because if you're only releasing 5, lots at a time, and that's all the sales team has access to, then that's all they're beholden to be responsible for. So it doesn't matter what they want to sell; it matters what they have the availability to sell. If you're slot building and you're only releasing 15 homes at per month,
Yeah.
then that's all they have access to. So sometimes it's just the protocol of what's in place physically that they can sell, or when it becomes like I know CBH, they do it more like a existing home type sale, where it once it's available, then it's open and fair game for the sales team to get that puppy sold. So I guess my best answer to that question would be, and I love that the fact this is loaded, because I think I might know where you're going with this. The marketing team 9 times out of 10 will have a great finger in the pulse on what the release is, what the phases are, what the timeline is, even more so than a lot of times what the sales team has. Because again, salespeople are reactionary. We're like, oh, got 3 homes, let's go move them. Versus, hey, here's our timetable of release dates.
And can I flip that a little bit? Because
Sure.
I'm hoping.
I don't think from the view that I've had into our clients and builders we've worked with, I don't always see marketing with a clear understanding of, in order to sell X, we need Y leads.
Exactly.
And when you talk about some quotas, if you will, or expectations, let's make sure that we're giving the sales team the kind of pipeline that they deserve and need in order to achieve those goals. Now, granted, all leads are not created equal in quality and timing and everything else. So, but you've got some history you can go back and look at and give some ideas that, okay, if we've been doing at this level for this period of time and we want to suddenly do twice that, it's not just the salespeople, hey, sell twice as much. We've got to back it into, therefore, what do we have to do on the website conversion rate? What do we have to do maybe on the Facebook ads or the Google ads or all
Right.
these other things to get more traffic and the right traffic to convert? And let's make sure that that team's connected on those quotas and what that, or business goals. Quotas sounds so like arbitrary to me, but the business goal of what we're trying to accomplish with our timing and our sales and everything else, and make sure that the lead counts are matching what the sales need to be able to do that.
Greg
You
went
said-
exactly where I wanted him to, and I didn't even have to coach him.
Because it's a smart thing, but I mean, also we have to talk about conversion if you're going to have that conversation, because I get principals of companies and division leadership that gets very hung up on conversion, and they start looking, well, number of leads in and number of leads that aren't converted. There's a whole X factor that goes in there that
Mhm.
you have to take into consideration, because number of leads doesn't necessarily mean number of sales. And you said it very
Nope.
well, Greg. What are they the right leads?
Mhm.
So that is not dismissing that sales has a responsibility of doing everything they can for every person that they're dealing with to try to help them and try to see if this is the right fit for them. But if we're consistently driving people who don't qualify and can't financially buy that particular product, then that is not a salesperson issue. That's a marketing issue. That's a positioning. And and a lot of times we're going, well, let's cast the widest net by saying that we're offering homes from the 3s, when in fact, most of our homes average about 450, because we want those people who are going to see that and go, oh, I qualify for
Wow.
450, but I'd prefer the 3s. That's not how that works. So, we need to be honest with what our offerings are and set those right expectations so that we are driving that right traffic, and more than just price, about the process. What is the buying process? How easy is the buying process? Can they make every choice that they want imaginable? Or are they going to be, buying packages? That is marketing. That's positioning. Yes, Kevin.
I love lifting things from Harley Davidson, because they have a crazy way of marketing.
And a
So
phenomenal
sales-
brand.
If you have, and I'm just going to use sales guys, because most of the guys on the floor are sales dudes, in Harley shops. But when you go to a Harley shop and they have marketing puts out this campaign where they're like, the first 200 people through the door get a free t-shirt. The salespeople, what are they always going to complain about? They're just
Tire
a free
kickers.
shirt. I'm not selling anything. But you know what? That's not what that event is for. You have to know what the goal of that marketing campaign is. It is about brand awareness. And you literally just put 200 back-sized billboards out on the market of people riding around with your logo on it. So you've just given the illusion that so many people love buying Harleys from that shop. And then guess what they do? Then they go to consider that shop as a place to go look for a bike. So it does drive traffic. It's just delayed on the timeline.
So I'm going to put a challenge to all the marketing people. Your marketing should be as good as Harley Davidson's, because people literally tattoo that stuff on their bodies.
They do.
So
They sure
and
do.
so how builder logos have you seen tattooed on somebody's body?
That sounds like
gotta-
a Facebook.
There's got to be
challenge.
someone.
That's a Facebook challenge. And you know what? Smart Dwellings I'm famous for tagging people with my little my face sticker on their
Yeah.
cars when I'm driving around.
And I want
Smart,
one of those, by the way.
Yeah, where's
Smart
mine?
Dwellings got my bag, my travel bag, when we were at one of our summit, matter of fact, the home building digital marketing summit. They tagged my bag with one of their stickers.
That's
And
awesome.
I didn't notice it till I got home. So yeah, sometimes it doesn't have to be a tattoo. It could just be a sticker. But man, they get me to put a Smart Dwellings tattoo on my body. Woo-hoo-hoo! gonna market the heck out of
Nathaniel
that.
sold his car and needs a new sticker, Kevin.
He does need a new sticker.
Yeah, I gotta
Um,
keep those stickers going. But I mean, but permanent body art, like, that's commitment to a brand. That
It
is
is.
serious
Huge.
commitment.
I think that's a
That's
survey
all.
question. There's got to be someone. I mean, so even if it's not, a builder's tattoo, who out there in the industry has tattooed their company tattoo somewhere on their body, company logo on the body? I'd love to know the answer to that. Tribe.
That was my bicycle shop.
There. Oh, well, there you go. Kevin wins that one.
It was my
Nice.
shop,
Don't look over here.
So,
Sorry.
yeah.
So it needs to say Tribe Outhouse. It needs to say Tribe
I
Outhouse
should
now.
get an outhouse logo.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can do that. That might be a large ask. That'd have to come with compensation for sure.
Well, we wrap trucks, and so we should wrap bodies, right? I think
Yeah, they do.
I think we're all about that.
I'm going to
But I
say
mean,
we
think
might
of-
be digressing, Kimberly. I don't
Right, I know. But
This
the process behind that thought is genuine. We should be so transparent and so excited about our brand that if somebody did that, it wouldn't surprise us, right? That we're setting those expectations. People are proud to be associated with our brand. And oftentimes, I think we put product first and don't really think about pride of ownership, the story behind the people who live in the homes. And here's the newsflash: the hero of the story in your marketing is not you as the builder. You're the catalyst in this story. You're just a catalyst. The hero are the buyers. And if we turn the marketing around and really think about the buyers and the end, it changes everything. It changes all of the thought process for that. So, writing the story with the buyer as the star, as the protagonist of the story, right? Like, and then the builder becomes the company. They're that best friend in this rom-com that, is telling the buyer what they can do and how they can do it. And you can do this, and I've got your back, and here's the way to do it. And you can do it in 3 easy steps, right? And you make it easy. And then they show what that result is. Imagine if our stories were like that. I mean, how cool would that be?
On the branding message, Kimberly, I agree that there's a huge opportunity in this industry to do better, not just from a loyalty tattoo level, but even when you think about the product, are people buying a resale home because they know who the builder was of that home? And if we can get to the point where, gosh, I want an XYZ builder home, even if I'm the second owner or the third owner, because I know XYZ builder so well, and I want one of their homes, even if it's a resale. I think that's a branding level that you see that in automobiles all the time, right? People want even a used car is still the brand that you
Right.
want. Do we get to the point someday in building where that becomes where we're at with our branding? And some builders have the repeat buyers and some of that,
Right.
and some of that, but it's pretty rare in my opinion, from what I see out there.
In the resale world, Greg, I can tell you that people will buy based on who the architect was. That's very prevalent. Like they want a Haver, or they want something that was a Frank Lloyd Wright trained architect. That's relatively common, especially in the mid-century world. But yeah, as far as builder goes, I think that people will repeat buy from a builder they enjoyed working with, but I don't necessarily think they're going to go out there and hunt for a used home that is specifically, builder X, Y, or Z. I think,
Yeah, it just shows a gap in branding to me and where we could be if we were really selling brand a little harder.
Well, yes. And if the selling of the brand matched the physical product. So I think there's a good comment in the chat that it's probably more common for people to avoid a builder or avoid a home because they know who the builder was. And I think
That's sad.
I know if you're in the Southeast or especially Atlanta area, John Whelan built an amazing brand. He's still running the JW collection and sold John Whelan homes, but people would buy, 2, 3, 4 homes and really shop for that brand and shop for those resales because of how they were built and how they're made. But I'm with Greg. I don't think that's very common. So
I think Nathaniel's on it that people will avoid brands because
Yeah.
there are some brands that I will not buy. I won't mention
Right.
them, but there are some brands that you couldn't catch me buying a home from a certain couple of builders out there.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Well, let's
So
see.
how important is it though for marketing and sales to work together to tell the story in a way that resonates with the buyer?
I want to jump on some of that because I think it comes down to my crayon analogy. The salespeople, hopefully they're good at what their craft and their ability to personalize with the end result person that they're talking to and be able to associate their buyer's needs with the product that they sell. I don't think that salespeople, I know we have egos and we think that we're great marketers, but I think what it really comes down to is that we need to let marketing do what they do best, which is to get the word out, to get the proper messaging out, a consistent messaging that matches the branding. And I think that sales needs to almost step aside and let them do what they do best. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, but it's a little bit of a yin and yang, right?
It is.
Because marketing's got to have the right messaging that the sales team feels like, meets the audience. And then they have to take that marketing message and that marketing speak and turn it into sales, messaging and sales conversations so that it all matches. Otherwise, you have that, I guess that, it's not continuity. It's that abrasive problem in the sales process where you go and you look at the website and you feel like the community is going to be one way and that the sales are going to happen one way, and you go on site and it's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
So
I think consistency is key, and it does start with that initial who are we? Like, we all have to ask that question. And if you think about how most of our builders grew, I mean, most of our builders started as pickup truck builders. They built a home and then they either built it for themselves or they built it for somebody, or they built it and sold it, and somebody went, well, it's kind of a nice home, will you build me one?
Right.
And it just kind of organically grew, and usually then it got to where the builder was no longer able to handle it, so they bring in their wife, and then they bring in the kids, or they bring in the uncle or cousins, or so we're like, oh wait, this business is really going, I need some help. So we just got really busy building and didn't get really busy building the business and really thinking about the branding.
It connects back to that mission, vision, values types of concepts too, of who we are as a company, how we want to be perceived in the market. What if somebody just hears our name, what's the thought we want to come to their mind, and what they think of. And it really, if you can clarify that across a large organization, then people start to tell the same story, but your team has to hear that story more than once in order to be able to retell it. We can't just, do 1 hour of training and everybody's on the same page and we're good to go. So there's a marketing job internally as well. Marketing has to tell the rest of the company the story that we're trying to tell, not just the buyers, the prospective buyers. It has to be a broader storytelling effort if you really want to see that consistency, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's not just marketing telling sales, it's because everybody should be a brand ambassador. So construction needs to know, and we really do need to map that customer journey. Handoffs, that's where we lose it, right? When we start handing off, when we hand off from marketing to sales to construction, or sales to design, or wherever those handoffs are, if we don't have that consistency and we're all singing from the same sheet of music, then the customer gets kind of whiplash and then they start to have a really bad customer experience because it does go beyond just signing on the dotted line. Do you guys agree?
Amen.
Absolutely. Well, and customer experience kind of plays into those customer satisfaction surveys. So, who handles those and who handles the feedback from those? Is that marketing? Is it sales? Is it someone higher up? Because sometimes what you find out from those surveys is that you've got a business process problem. It may not have anything to do with marketing or sales, but how do you guys typically see those handled?
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
You mean we're supposed to do something with those results?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. 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 You should do something with those results. Improve. Use them to improve.
so there should be a process for that, right? Like,
Maybe, might be an idea.
I'm just saying, yes, no, there definitely should be. And again, those are often, if we don't track it, we can't improve it.
Right.
And we do need to track it, even when it's stuff we don't want to hear. And I see builders like, well, that customer was just disgruntled from the beginning. Okay,
Right.
why?
Uh-huh.
And yes, you're never going to please all the people all the time. I'm okay with that. But when you're not pleasing any of the people any of the time, we got a problem.
Mhm.
Carol, to your point of who should do it, I think honestly, to do it well, it needs to be an outside third party to really do. Now, granted, there's some cost that goes with that, so you may not be able to pull that off. But and sure, it needs to be driven in my mind by the sales team more because you're talking about individual customer data
Right.
and some of that kind of stuff. But bringing in somebody who specializes in that type of process, I think can add a lot of value to that, and be able to get information that they wouldn't give to somebody who's just when the salesperson calls and says, "Hey, can you rate me on from 1 to 5 on how well I did?" And they're like,
Right.
"Sure, Joe, you did great. I
Mhm.
really appreciate." It's like, okay, they're gonna not get the same type of
No, it puts
feedback.
you a little bit on the spot. I mean, I just bought a new car. My salesperson literally said to me, hey, we're going to send a review. It affects my compensation.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you do? So you're going to give them a
now
better
you've been
review. You're not
guilt-tripped.
going to. Yeah, exactly. So I get that. But, once that data comes back through, who actually sees it in the company? So, if you are using, you said, third party rating service, I like Guild Quality. There's Avid Ratings. I like them too. There's probably some other ones out there that do a good job. And I think they do a fantastic job of surveying, but also, a phenomenal job of helping to provide a map forward for improvement. But I guess I'm curious as to, those surveys come in, but who sees those? Where does the buck stop with those and who should see them?
The
So,
entire
and
thing.
Nathaniel commented about also celebrate the positive ones too.
Yes,
And that
yes.
should definitely go to marketing. We definitely need to be sharing those positive reviews with everybody.
Right.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about using third parties, or what do you think that process needs to look like?
If you can afford third party, it's fantastic. That's the way to do it. And I think you almost can't not afford it because you really need to have that input to know what an outside view to see what you're doing. You can take the positive and negative reviews and the cattails.
The cat
all
tail.
that stuff.
Sorry, y'all.
But you can take-
Coke
you can
wants
take-
to participate.
That's it. You can take the positive and negative reviews, to heart and choose to either put them into process or not. But the one thing I just want to tell salespeople to stop doing is stop doing the hostage videos where your videos of your home buyer look like you have a gun to their head and you're going to murder their cat if they don't give you a positive review. Yes,
Right.
we loved our process, our sales. It's like, come on, quit doing these.
Love a good video testimonial, but you're right. If the customer is not comfortable being in front of the camera, don't hold them. Oh, that's terrible. I've never really thought about it that way. So Melissa suggested that compensation should be tied to customer reviews. And I'm always a big fan of reward right behavior. I'm a little cautious to go full blown, your comp is totally, maybe there's a little spiff or something there to reward it, but I'd almost rather recognize people when they get a good review and then learn from the opportunity. What happened? What did we do? What went right? Let's do more of that. Because if it's tied to somebody's compensation, they might hold somebody hostage, or they may say what Carol said, where, hey, my compensation is tied to this. Please give me a good
Please
review.
give me a good
And then
review.
we're
Yeah.
not getting good data. So thank you, Melissa. Yes, she knew we'd get started on this one.
Yeah. Well, the
Melissa's-
challenge with that is also, sorry, Kevin, I'll be fast. There's so many people involved in building that home. Is their complaint really, this is probably where you're going anyway, is it really with the salesperson, or was it with whoever missed whatever at the final walkthrough, or was it that, the AC system's undersized for the house? I mean, there's so many moving pieces.
So when you buy a car, think about when you buy a car. Let's go back to the auto industry for a second, because
Okay.
with the home building industry always flows from what they're doing. It kind of trickles downhill. And in the auto industry, they've switched the entire way. Every major brand has switched to this method. It's not just here's your profit margin in a car. Here's how your salespeople are going to get X percentage of it. Your GM gets an X percentage of it. Your finance person gets an X percentage. Those days are gone. What they've done is they've reduced the margin to the dealership. So they now, instead of on a $20,000 car, they're not getting $6,000 of profit margin. They're only getting $2,000 of profit margin. And then they hold that $4,000 hostage. And that's why your salesperson says, I need 10s on the review, because, if I don't get 10s, blah, blah, blah. And in all reality, they shouldn't be putting that onus on the client, because what they're doing is they're forcing the client into basically just pencil whipping, 10s across the board, when it might not be 10s. They need to get that feedback. So they've kind of fallen short in that aspect. But I'll tell you what it has done is it stopped the salesperson from having to basically get their whole deal ruined by the next step. And this came on to Kimberly's point, was that the finance person. So you might love your salesperson, but then you have to come back and sit in the little glass room, and this guy ruins your life because he's trying to throw all this garbage onto your contract, and he's telling you, oh, if you don't get this, I don't know if I can make this happen. I'll have to check with the bank, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Well, and that's where they make that $2,000 into more money.
Yes, they make a ton of profit margin on that. So the point is that there are many moving pieces. You could have some trades that are doing some shoddy work because you're not giving them the feedback that, hey, we have to fix all your drywall on a regular basis, 6 months after clients move in. And if you're not putting that into the system to fix that based on the feedback, you're losing out on that opportunity.
I like it more when sales has the conversation where they go, if you are going to be surveyed, just want to set the expectation. It's very important to us to get the feedback, but it's more important that I don't wait until the end to get that feedback from you. So if there's anything happening, I want you to feel comfortable coming to me and talking to me, so we get the opportunity to make it right before it becomes a thing that you would want to complain about on a survey. That's the real deal. That's the real message, that we should empower our salespeople and train them on how to do it.
And just to connect that back to the front end of all of it, is that frustrated customers don't wait for your survey to express their frustration. They do it on social media. They do it on their on Google reviews. They do it everywhere. And when we get SEO questions like, well, how can I stop this bad review from popping up when somebody searches on my company name? It's a little too late by that point, other than, well, how about you fix your warranty process or fix your whatever process, and then you won't have these bad reviews out there online getting in the way of your SEO efforts. You can't just wait for the survey and think all the grouchy, grumpy, unhappy people are going to wait, and now I'm going to tell them what I think. It's like, no, they put it out there, and it's part of your social profile or your internet identity forever. Sometimes it's hard to get that stuff, drowned out and removed later.
You got to replace it with a whole bunch of positive stuff on top of it. So well, Carol, you remember when we had builders who were like, I'm not setting up a Facebook page because customers will comment on that and I won't like what they say. And I'm like, that might be a bigger problem.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, remember, that was back when they were telling us in 2015 and 2016 that the internet was a fad.
Isn't it?
There's probably still some that think this for sure.
AI is a fad.
It's all a fad. It's all a fad, and it's going to go away. So back to how this ideal process should look like. So let's remove from our reality hat and let's talk about in the ideal world, how does it look? How do sales and marketing really pull together in our last couple of minutes here? So I'm just going to do a round robin, and Greg, I'm going to start with you.
How do they really work? I think
ideally, what should it look like?
I think the key is that marketing understands clearly who they're trying to sell to. They communicate with that buyer appropriately so that those are the right people showing up for your sales team. Sales understands that buyer in the same way so that their messaging matches, and that flows through the entire process, that story, that common message and theme that converts.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin?
Make sure that the messaging and the story, the philosophy, the beliefs, the mission statement all flows through your socials, through your email outreaches, through your print campaigns, through your billboards, whatever you're doing. All that needs to be present, because if that is in place, if the messaging is clear, the product is quality, your sales team, their job becomes so much easier. And sales team, use your systems. If your company spends the money to get you interactive floor plans and interactive site maps and a CRM, use it. Because if you are on my team and you're not using it, you're out, gone, you're fired. You don't have a job anymore. That's just my harsh opinion on that. But yes, if they take the time and the expense of getting you these really bitchin' tools, utilize them to your advantage. Don't just hope that the customer is going to find it on the website. Send them links to the floor plans that they're looking at. Give them an opportunity to compare floor plans with IFPs, etc. But yes, put the systems in place. Let the sales team do what they're going to do, which is to sell those homes, and everybody's boats all elevate with those rising waters.
Love that.
Good.
Kevin Weitzel, waxing poetic on us and getting it right out of the gate. Kevin or Carol, what about you?
So I agree with everything that both of our gentlemen today have said, but I guess I would add to that, when you have that once a month meeting or every other month, every other week meeting with your marketing team, it would be a good idea to include someone from the sales team in that meeting so that you do have that cohesiveness. We don't always see that happening, but a lot of the times with our, bigger clients, they do have a VP of sales that sits in on those calls, or maybe it's a VP of sales and marketing in addition to their director of marketing that's there. And I think it helps to keep the marketing on track as it relates to what sales is seeing. And, otherwise you're operating in a vacuum or building a silo. Your marketing department doesn't need to be a silo separate from sales. They work in tandem. So anything that we can do to keep, that conversation going and flowing is what I like to see. Your turn, Kimberly.
I agree with that. So, I think that you should have sales and marketing. Again, that whole sales and thing. We need to have sales and marketing in our sales meetings so that marketing knows what the challenges the sales team is facing and that we're having open, frank, honest discussions about this and then coming up with solutions together. So, but it starts, like Kevin said, it starts from the beginning. It starts from, did your company have the vision? Have you communicated that vision? Is it something that every person on the team understands what their role in fulfilling that vision is? And and when something goes wrong, do we have policies and procedures in place so that people are empowered to do what they need to do? That's what policies and procedures do. Sometimes people think, oh, well, those are so cumbersome. And really, it's more about freeing people up because they don't have to think about that. They know, oh, this is what happens. This is what I do. And it becomes an automatic response. But more importantly, it becomes an automatic response throughout the company. So it doesn't matter what role it is. Everybody knows what's supposed to happen. And that creates that cohesiveness. And that's how, to me, from the front end to the back end, we're matching all of this together. I don't know if that made any sense whatsoever, but that's what I think.
Makes sense.
So thank you, everybody, for joining us. We are at the top of the hour, and this is a discussion that this shouldn't end. This should be ongoing, but we really want to thank Kevin and Greg from the Home Builder Digital Marketing Podcast. If you're not subscribing to that, you can get it on Spotify. You can get it wherever you get your podcast. I complained to Greg at the International Builder Show that I'd like them to be about 15 minutes longer so I can listen to a whole one and not 1.5 during my exercise routine. So if you could time that, that'd be great. But they're about 30 minutes. So they're a good, if you're driving, if you're commuting, if you're just, cleaning your kitchen in the morning and making your coffee, just pop those earbuds in and take a listen. They've got good stuff going on there. So
Thanks,
thank you
Kimberly.
for partnering with us on this
Thank you very
crossover event.
much. This has been
Thank
fun.
you.
Yeah, it has been. All right, everybody have a great one. And I'm going to catch an airplane and go to Texas so my hair can grow.
We want to see pictures of the growing hair. So
Oh, I'm sure you will.
send those.